I don't. I did just email him though.
Have you talked to Jake?
I haven't heard from him.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call for the record. Mayor Lindsay.
Here.
I see Mayor Pro Tem Crane, Councilor Howe,
Here.
Councilor Weeks,
Here.
and Councilor Curry.
Here.
We have a quorum. You may proceed.
All right, at this time I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Could please get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We did not have any requests from the audience. Do we have any announcements or proclamations by the council?
One, the Angel Fire Pit Board met on April the 9th. They're working on their budget for the upcoming year, and they've received an offer for one of the lots they own. Pit Lot, Angel Fire Village North 119.
Just want to let everybody know that we are having a Trails Committee meeting on Thursday for comprehensive plan development for Allen Fields, if anybody wants to attend.
8:30 a.m.
8:38, thank you.
Moving on to director reports. We'll start this evening with our fire chief, Jason Vance.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Manager Weir, Clerk Strickland. I'd like to use my time to offer a couple of letters of commendation to a couple of our police officers for assisting the fire department this past week on a pretty difficult call. May you call up Officer May first, please? Thank you for coming up. I'm just going to read this out loud if you don't mind. This letter of commendation presented by Jason Vance, Fire Chief, on behalf of Angel Fire Fire Department and the Village of Angel Fire, to Officer Albus May, Angel Fire Police Department. This letter of commendation is presented in recognition of your exceptional initiative, judgment, and dedication during an EMS-only mutual aid call in a neighboring community. Outside the Angel Fire Police Department's jurisdiction and beyond your duty obligation. Upon hearing the nature of the emergency, you immediately recognized the seriousness of the situation and need for urgent response. When informed that Colfax County resources would be significantly delayed, you took decisive action by following proper procedure, calling Red River Dispatch to request a formal addition to the response assignment and ensuring that critical assistance reached the scene without unnecessary delay. Your willingness to respond, despite having no jurisdictional authority, no expectation to assist, and no operational duty to act, demonstrates a profound commitment to public safety. The circumstances of the call presented significant challenges for our two-person crew, and your presence provided exactly the support they needed to carry out their work safely and effectively. Your actions exemplify the highest standards of interagency cooperation, professional responsibility, and personal character. The Angel Fire Department extends a sincere gratitude for your outstanding service to the residents of and visitors of our region. We appreciate with appreciation and respect. Thank you. Officer May is always willing to help us, and in addition to that, he's offered to transport and drive for us when we're short-staffed, and is never without offering a hand to us. So we very much appreciate his service. May I call up Lieutenant Strickland, please. Again, letter of commendation presented by Jason Vance, Fire Chief, on behalf of Angel Fire Department and the Village of Angel Fire. To Lieutenant Jeremy Strickland, Angel Fire Police Department. The letter of commendation is presented in recognition of your exceptional compassion, readiness, and self-service during an incident that occurred while you were off duty at your home late at night. After hearing cries for help and receiving a knock at your door, you responded immediately to aid a neighbor in distress. Get it right. After hearing cries for help, receiving a knock at your door, you responded immediately to aid a neighbor in distress with no expectation to respond and no duty to act. You chose to do the humane and horrible thing, providing care and basic life support to the best of your abilities during what must have felt like an eternity as EMS units traveled from Angel Fire. Your calm presence and decisive actions brought crucial assistance during a moment of great need. Upon EMS arrival, you continued to support the response of the assisting crew on scene, further demonstrating your commitment to the well-being of those in your community. Your willingness to render aid, regardless of the hour or circumstance, reflects the highest ideals of public service. Your actions exemplify professionalism, personal integrity, and genuine dedication to others. The Angel Fire Department extends its sincere gratitude for your outstanding service to the residents and visitors of our region. With great appreciation and respect, thank you. I just want to follow that up by saying I've never worked in an environment where the relationship between police and fire has been so healthy. Coming from Albuquerque and other services, it doesn't always go this well, and I have great respect for the leadership that Chief Hogriff is providing and the symmetry and relationship that we have between our departments. So I just want to give them a thank you and acknowledge that. So thank you, Chief.
Chief Jerry Hooker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, Madam Clerk, Village Manager, and those in attendance. I just want to stem off that not only brought to the village, but I think should and intend to stay be So with that, before you should have the March 2026 monthly recap. Calls for service during March increased slightly, but not significantly over February and over March from a year ago. We had 224 total calls as compared to a year ago, 197. The incident reports were 84 versus 62. Warrants were 2. Arrests, there were 2. Crash reports, there was only 1. Traffic citations, there were 40 citations issued for the month of March, which is slightly down from March of 25, which was 55. And if you'll note in red, 28 of those citations went to Angel Fire Municipal Court. 12 were cited in the Springer Magistrate Court because they had involvement with DWI arrests and things that are outside of the scope of the municipal court that are filed in the magistrate to higher court. All traffic citations related to arrest. And I skipped non-traffic citations. There were 3 issued. Court collections for March of 26 were $1,905. During March, Officer Hott received a letter of commendation. Officer Hott also attended firearms instructor training and has now applied for his advanced certification through the New Mexico Law Enforcement Academy. That has been submitted. We hope to have that document in hand within a month or so. Officer Sanchez also took advantage of some training opportunity throughout the year and received his intermediate certification. And Officer Lucero is advancing his training and received training in first line supervision and is working on his intermediate certification at this time. And with that, I would stand for any questions.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is our tourism director, Greg Ralph.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Manager Weir, Clerk Strickland. Quick short-term rental update. Short-term rental revenue for 2025 in February was $106,483. 2026 was $103,393. So we lost about $3,000 in revenue there. We now have 697 properties in compliance. Last month at this time, we were at 573. So we're still picking up rapidly more people in compliance. Airbnb is actually helping us now. So that's kind of nice. Total number of rental properties that we've identified in the valley are 939. Last month it was 911. So it's a moving target. Our sponsorship sales, tourism sponsorship sales, we've sent out proposals to 60 businesses and organizations. We've had 28 commitments so far, a couple at the $10,000 level, some balloons, some banner sponsorship, some concert sponsorship, but it's coming up, and we're following through as fast as we can right now because there's things we need to produce for these events to get them going. Facebook, we picked up over the course of the winter from December 1 till now, we picked up about 8,000 new followers on Facebook. So we're up over 43,000 on Facebook. And the reason that's important, it allows us to put out messaging to these people, targeted messages. So it's a lot more economical form of advertising if we can do it through social media. Instagram, we're right at 5,600 followers. It hasn't really changed that much. We'll see that pick up this summer as people start sharing pictures and those experiences. A little background on our website performance. For our website, the Visit Angel Fire NM website, by far our number one page that people look at is our webcam. And it's kind of funny because one of our webcams is truly ours, and a couple of the other ones are other ones from the resort. So the viewing of that page is double our next most popular page, which is events. So I'm going to be working with the airport crew back here to get a camera out at the airport. I think that would be something that our visitors would really like. It's great views out there, so we're working on that now. Since January 1, we had 1,371 lodging referrals through our website, and that's off of 5,221 people searching for lodging information on the website. So we're getting a pretty good conversion on there. Our top markets: Dallas, Singapore. And Singapore's number 2 because we're getting beat up by bots right now. AI is just, the bots are coming in, so we're having to take the data, boil it out. But our real top markets are Dallas, Fort Worth, Phoenix, Austin, and then Houston. That's where we're seeing performance in the last few months. Phoenix is still a growing market for us. Any questions for me this evening? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And next is our Public Works Director, Kurt Epler.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Clerk Strickland, Manager Weir. Quick update on projects and departments for Public Works. First report is the over excavation for Fire Station 1 began last Tuesday. We're pretty close to having it, the bad material excavated out. The engineered fill will start to be delivered. Delivery will start next Monday, and hopefully we'll start placing material that same day and start testing on Tuesday for compaction test. Estimated quantity at this point for imported engineered fill is 4,200 tons, and we'll be purchasing that from Valley Materials. Starting off with streets, I do want to report first thing that the streets department is going to the summer schedule of Tuesday through Friday, the 4-10 schedule. We did this last summer and found it to be much more productive. So just so everybody is aware, our street staff will be on Tuesday through Friday. With the excavation project for the fire station, was able to keep one motor grader and a water truck out working and kind of trying to stay on top of spots on the road as best we can. Things seem to be holding up pretty decent. The recent rains have been very helpful. And water department, last few days have been trying to chase down a water leak on Panorama. I believe they have it resolved, and they're continuing with water meter installations and sewer tie-ins. Last report from Evan is we have 2 meters on the list right now waiting for install. Evan and Andrew in the water department will be having a training with Camstrup meter representatives for the mainline leak detection component of the new meters. There is, I don't understand the technology, but there's a listening technology. You know, we're all well aware that it detects leaks on the customer side, where we can get alerts for potential leaks on the mainline side. And supposedly the technology, if it hits on multiple meters, it can help triangulate where the leak is. So another avenue of leak detection that we're adding to our repertoire. Solid waste just received 2 new vehicles, 2 3/4 ton Fords. The 3 vehicles that they've had for quite some time. They're in excellent condition, so they'll be distributed to another department and still have some use left in them. We'll be presenting later in the meeting a proposal to modify the yard space on Halo Pines Road at the recycling center. Maintenance department has been working with the garden club to get things going on the median. I've also been working with them to give some of the decorative trees and a few fruit trees on Bill Burgess Boulevard some long overdue care, some pruning. We got some really nice trees that I think were on the verge of choking themselves out. And Enos, I think, is doing a real good job working with the garden club, and everybody seems to be happy.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah. And I stand for any questions.
You like the skills or?
I'm sorry. Thank you, sir, for bringing that up. Almost slipped my mind. Scales are set. All the power is in. All the communication cable is ran. They're supposed to be here this week for calibration and testing. Then we'll have a training period implementing, getting our staff fully trained on how it works. But we'll also expect in the next council meeting presentation of a resolution for the pricing, the per ton pricing. And I want to make sure to give our staff plenty of time to feel comfortable with the scales and how the transaction works before we just turn it over to the public. I think we'll, get pick out some select repetitive customers and have them kind of be our guinea pigs to begin with, and hopefully it'll go well. It's taken way longer than I thought it would to get them in, but I'm excited they are set. Everything is looking pretty good at this point.
That satellite leak detection you talked about that identified some, is that an ongoing thing or is that a one-time pass over?
Well, what they do is they do a flyover and they identify potential areas, and then they send staff out with boots on the ground, listening to sounding equipment. The first round that they came out, they addressed a number of those. Their next trip out, they'll start investigating some other ones.
Okay.
But it is continual. We qualified for $500,000 worth of leak detection services.
I'd like to commend you on your response time as well. I found the leak in like 2 days later it was repaired. So good job.
Thanks for letting us know about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. All right, last on director's reports is our airport director, Jeff Gilman.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. Kurt Strickland and Manager Ware. So apologize, I might be a little bit longer than the other folks, but got a lot to cover tonight. I think you all have some packages before you. We'll look at, those will be some numbers we'll talk about here in a minute. But I'm actually going to sit down and write out a script this time so that we can kind of address several different subject matters. And I will stand for questions at the end, obviously, but I want to give a pause as we hit each point. If you have questions, we can try to address them then, if that's okay with y'all. So, all right, so currently, I'll start at the top, which is the actual sponsorship change. I'm sorry, you all don't have my notes here, but you should be able to follow when we get to the financials. All of the paperwork is still at FAA headquarters in Washington, D.C. So that part of the ACO division is reviewing them. They've been under review now. We're going to go on 2 months. We heard the rumors, which were pretty solid, that at 90 days is what was happening in Washington. But as of yesterday, there was no update that said, hey, you guys are looking good and expect a response. From what I hear from our folks, both at the ADO down in Texas and other folks that I know that have dealt with this, it's really going to just drop in our lap. We're just going to get a message, an email one day and say, thumbs up, you're good. So what does that mean for us? Well, currently I'm working with our village lawyers, our council. I'm also working with Colfax County and with our firm that we do our consulting with. And we are drafting the document. It appears what it's going to be is a simple warranty deed that everyone's going to sign. Property is going to be transferred. In fact, the lawyers are already looking at it going, this seems like a lot easier than that they expected. What they didn't see was all the work that went to Washington to get us there. So most of the work, except for a couple items that we may have to do, we may actually have to do a simple title search like you would on a house, and a couple things like that that are still on the agenda. So hopefully by end of month, which is just a couple weeks away, we'll have a document that goes to the county. The county's lawyers will get their review. They're in process right now. Everybody's got the documents, but it's getting a draft. And so my goal was, when we get to the point when the FAA says green light, that we actually have something that we can set a date and get signed and get the transfer fully complete. One of the good things that came out of this, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but we got official confirmation that the encumbered lands that we've been talking about for a year, which is about 74, 73% of the airport, that the county has used for 40 years for matching funds. We do not have to pay that prior to this sponsorship transfer happening. The FAA has said, no, you assume that. That was part of the work that we've been doing the last year. You're perfectly able to assume it. And then they actually said, well, you can continue it. Meaning, for the time period until we get the enterprise up and running, the grants that we're going to go out after, we can take our match if we want to, and we can continue to use encumbered lands to the FAA. So that's a big chunk of money. Eventually, that money will have to get paid back, and I can address that maybe now or at a later time. But there may be a vehicle that we can actually get a grant to pay the grant. If that makes sense. It's federal government, so. It's a real possibility. So, yes.
Do you have that number that's currently the value encumbered?
It's just north of $850,000, just right around $850 to $1 million. Yeah, and it's based on I believe that each acre of land was valued at $5,000 an acre, and it's never changed, and it will continue at that. So that's what we'll have, rather than the real market value of the land out there.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I just want to clarify that we are pursuing an opportunity to receive a grant from the FAA so we can pay off the FAA for that $850,000.
Government at its finest.
Yeah, so, and I'll talk about that in our strategy here in just a second when we get down to grants. So now for the paperwork in front of you, the financials are still down from previous years. As you can see, the numbers are off from 25 and 24, but still in range considering the winter of this, well, the last two winters. So there's a page called Activity and Sales for the airport. It kind of looks like this. I believe you have it. You might have something that's a little bit, I have to put my reading glasses on to see anything on there. But I'll bring to your attention, so, because we're all in this in the village right now, we're all talking about what 2 years of drought looks like. In 2022, I don't know if we'll ever reach this again, hopefully not have to reach this using COVID, but that was in the 3 months, January, February, March, was a $47,800 3-month period. COVID, people coming in. We're doing $20,000 a month, and basically in Jet A, for the most part, is what those broke down to. You jump to 2023, it drops down to 14,000. 2024, it was 19,000, same 3-month period. 2025, it was 27, so we took a jump up. Primarily jet traffic, and then currently we're sitting at 17.8, so just shy of 18,000. So we're still within a percentage range, even though we've had the challenges between field trucks, new, I'll address here in a minute of what's going on with the field farm, and just the lack of traffic at the airport, we're still looking pretty good. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so I wrote down some strategies and improvements, and again, I can make this available to you all if you'd like to have my notes here. I want to talk first about the state of the facilities. The terminal refresh was completed last year when we took over operations. I'm telling you, we get compliments every time somebody who shows up who hasn't been in the airport for years. They are so excited to see all of the changes. So, Mayor Lindsay and your crew that did that, thank you, because it really is making a difference in the way people react to the airport. The hangar's clean. If you haven't been around there a while, it's full. We have 6 spots, not 5 anymore. They're all leased out. So we're in good shape, even though there's only 1 airplane in the hangar right now, which is a good thing. We do have commitments to all the spots in the hangar. Some of those are part-time, meaning folks, we have a gentleman that flies up from Florida, which is a fantastic. He'll be up here just for the summer. I call him a sunburn because he goes back down there when it gets cold. We have a lot of folks like that, and we have folks that just transit in and out. Our latest lessee he's got a lodge in Alaska and lodges in Sedona, Arizona. He's got an aviation fuel company in Arizona. I mean, and he was so excited to get that last one. So we're excited about that. However, there's improvements, and we'll talk about that in just a second with the grants. But I just want to say, kind of like the Chiefs here, how very proud I am of Chris Reed and Ryan Helwani in their daily policing, always out looking for something to do to make the airport better. Helping the construction people, which I want to talk about next. Okay, so the runway lighting project, which we started last year, I will stand for questions that I get it at the grocery store, every store in town. Somebody goes, "Why are the lights always on at the airport?" I can explain that if you'd like to know. It will get fixed because the contractor will be there Monday to complete the work that they started last year. They say 3 to 4 weeks to complete because they not only have to complete the runway edge lighting, but they are putting in, well, we can talk about at another time, the beacon that's going to get turned on, all that has to be completely rewired, even though the new light is set, it's not operable. And then the PAPI system, okay? And that's a new precision approach lighting system for the pilots that's going in. That's going to be the big push, and there's going to be a lot of effort. This will not close the airport, just so folks know. This is not going to close that runway. At this point, the trucks will be off the runway. There will be a NOTAM for the pilots to know they will be working in the vicinity, but there will be no closures like we had last year to complete that. Second to that, the hangar door replacement will be done by May 31st. My greatest anxiety and most of sleepless nights and chest pains comes from that dumb door up there. But I found out in the last meeting, the hangar, the door is actually a bifold design. It's engineered by a company called Schweiss, which is based actually here in New Mexico, which is kind of cool that we're using. But they're a worldwide company. So the door will fold up. Okay, it'll be on big giant straps that are quite quiet and they last longer than the cables. There is, to answer one question I got from the pilot, if there's an electrical emergency, can you still get the door up? And the answer is yes. That's where Chris comes in because he's the most muscular. He's going to be up there with the crank, but we will be able to get it up. They will have that completely done. Along with that, it may slide into June, hopefully not, but we will have the fuel containment pad and we will also have the new cover for the fuel pumps. All of this be completed, hopefully by June. That's the program that they say. All the lessees, all those who have airplanes in the hangar have been fully briefed. They're totally on board, good to go. They understand that we will have aircraft out of harm's way when anything is is being done. Once our sponsorship is completed, the lease contract, once our sponsorship is completed, our first order of business is land leasing for private hangars. The contract has gone through the lawyers. What you'll get presented after we have done some homework, and I plan on passing this off to our advisory committee. I got a couple things that are going to be coming up, is going to be what the cost per square foot for that hangar will be. I've already done the study, but what I look at is a nationwide study, not particularly a resort community. So we may see, based on the average, I'll tell you what it is, about 34 cents a square foot. It may jump up a little bit because of being in a resort. So that's something that has to be considered. All right, so that'll be first. The potential lessees that are out there, I've got 3 of them already, kind of pounding on the door. They're going to get that contract once we have a number that we can hand to them. Grant applications. First thing that after we start leasing hangars is terminal bathrooms and ADA compliance. That will be a FAA grant. Taxiway Echo needs to be rebuilt and reinforced so that when we put those private hangars in and eventually our second large hangar, we have a proper taxiway to get aircraft in and out on. The FAA master plan, this is all going to happen, boom, at once. The FAA master plan is going to be one of the biggest things where the community is really going to be involved in that, because it's not only what we want to do at the airport, but how does that affect the community. That's a very expensive 2-year workout, $1.5 million just to create a single plant, not even build anything. So that's going to be really fun. And again, that's federally funded. It's not out of our pocket, except for that match. And then finally, a study, which we've already had some conversation for an interim approach to 3.5 or Landing North. And it would be called an RMP type approach. I actually have them built already, but that has to go through, $100,000 worth of studies for somebody to put a mark on a piece of paper and say it's good to go. RMP is required navigational performance. It just basically says if you've got GPS, you can shoot this if you have all the training and wherewithal in your aircraft. It's the easiest way to describe that. And then we're also looking at rehabilitating the old terminal building, which is simply sitting there. It's actually in better shape. We had it looked at a month ago, and they gave us an estimate of $60,000 to actually have it up and running and fenced, compliant fencing done. So based on the budget for 26, 27, I just kind of got that table, but I want to keep that amongst your thinking because we have a lot of people who would be interested in that building. We have to decide what we want to do with it, So that's a discussion for another time. Webpage. Currently, Ryan is being trained. Ryan Hawani is being trained to be the admin for our airport webpage. Brandon is helping with that training, and thank you, Greg, for giving him up. Although the website is complete, it still needs polishing before we launch, and we'll have that launched before Memorial Day. The website itself, if you go to Telluride, you go to Jackson Hole, you go to any of the other resort town airports, it kind of mirrors that. It'll have a lot of information on there for our visitors. Any questions on that? That's the goals for the rest of the year. Okay. Okay, we're also currently working on a grant application for continuing advanced air service. So Greg, Ralph, and myself, folks from Advanced Air, our state lobbyists that we have, all of us are at the table with a whole bunch of airports, and the money is available. The grant season is open, and so what we're working on right now is trying to figure out how do we address the issue that we've had of 2 years. They launched in our two worst years in the last few decades, right? So seat numbers or occupancy is what the state is looking at, Our numbers, we're not up there because we've had this drought. So we're going to try to work that with the powers that be to say, hey, give us grace, give us at least 2 more years, and let us show you that we can get those numbers up, because the community loves it, and the people coming in really love this air service. We would like to see it go pretty quick to another city besides Albuquerque being the second city. Here's a sticking point, though. I spoke with Manager Weir about this yesterday. If we do not complete the airport transfer by June 30th, which is the cutoff date for the grant application, we will have to enter a joint powers agreement with the county. The county said, yes, we'll do that, but boy, it's not really what they want to do. So we're kind of hoping things will gel and we'll have the airport so we can take the grant on without, again, having to go talk to a lot of hoops and talk to a lot of lawyers. Lawyers are bad. Yes, sir.
I actually have something to add to that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of research on it. There's nothing prohibiting the county and the village to jointly apply, given that we don't know exactly where it stands in terms of the transfer. But I seem to recall the agreement between the village and the county essentially having language in there saying that the county would agree to do whatever is necessary for exactly this type of purpose.
That's right.
So, they may not like it, but I think they're contractually obligated to assist.
And Mark, thank you. You're right. They actually have agreed to that. They've just pointed out that there's going to be some signatures that are going to have to go in the joint powers agreement that will take a little bit of time. And the sad thing is, it's going to be, we'll do this, and then 60 days later we'll have the airport, and then that grant can't be transferred to us.
And then the only other question, are we certain that the window for the application closes? I thought it was a 30-day window.
30th is what they have been telling me all along. Is that right, Greg? Is that what you were saying too? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great if we have more time. But let's just make sure that it's not 30 days instead of June 30th. We're out of luck.
Yeah. No, we in fact, we have a meeting this next week again with them to go over this. So that's great. We'll just follow it up for sure. And then lastly, a little bit about our fuel farm, and then I'll shut up and get out of here so we can move on. So there was a little controversy and a little bit of negative sayings going on in social media in regards to an issue with us stopping our 100 low-lead sales. So I want to give you the background. First of all, our above-ground tanks were placed into service in 2013. There are 12,000 gallon tanks, one each, 100 low lead and one Jet A. Like clockwork, as we went back through the records, in the fall of every single year, going back 10 years or more, the operations bought 7,000 to 8,000 gallons of 100 low lead fuel. That was just normal process. That fuel was certified by the fuel vendor for 1 year. So Valcon City Service, or Phillips 66, they'd had that 1 year standard certification. So in the fall of 25, Chris, I don't know if it was September when we bought. So we did the same. We bought 8,000 gallons of fuel, put it in the tank, but for whatever reason, we had sold 2,400 gallons of fuel by March 1st of this year. In the interim, Valcon changed the standard from 1 year to 6 months. So now I've got to refresh my fuel every 6 months and not every year. But I'm sitting on 5,600 gallons of fuel. So if I refreshed it for another 6 months, I had to add 101% or approximately 6,000 gallons to top off our inventory to to refresh it. Now I'd have 11,500 gallons of fuel, 100 low lead in that tank, and all I could do is pray that we could sell 6,000 gallons in 6 months, way above our normal average for forever to sell that much 100 low lead. If I didn't do that, then the other alternative was dispose of the 5,600 gallons that was in the tank and start anew. Well, I elected to stop selling 100 low lead at that point. Chris is involved in that decision as basically the manager of the airport. And we looked at it and had some discussion with pilots, and we apologized, went out and said, hey, currently this is where we're at. It's unavailable. One of the main factors to dispose of this and start fresh was the discovery, going back to our records, that the 100 low lead tank had never had a periodic inspection done. The field vendor suggests a periodic inspection and cleaning of every 2 to 4 years for 100 low lead. For Jet A, it's much longer, 5 to 10 years, because it's more stable and less likely to pull water or any debris in. This meant completely draining the tank, cleaning it, and eyes-on interior inspection. And they did that. The drain field was picked up at no charge, and it was donated to a military flight club out west, actually a couple flight clubs. The inspection team came out a couple weeks ago. Poor kid actually got inside that tank with a hazmat suit on and looked it over end to end, and the tank was fit, everything looked good, it was recertified, and there we are. Now, we'll upload fuel prior to Memorial Day. We'll keep it at a 2,000 gallon load each time from here on out. So we won't get back in this place because of this new standard, right? We'll keep that. That'll fill the truck, leave 1,000 in the tank, of which we found out by doing this inspection, we'll still have 750 gallons in the tank after we fill the truck. So now, our problem is apparent to everybody here. Fuel went from $3.20 a gallon to $6.80 a gallon. I think it was it $7 last week? Wholesale. So we elected at this point now to not refill that tank till we see those prices come down. My crystal ball didn't work very well, so I missed out on that one. But it seemed the war coming. We might have put some fuel in it a little bit quicker. Questions on that? Has anybody got any feedback from the community? Maybe what's going on there? Okay. All right. So that's where we're at. We are out. We're out of 100 low. We got plenty of jet, and we seem to be selling that quite well. And lastly, then, if folks have a question, if your question or other question, what we would hope is that folks would come and speak to us directly. We serve the people of the village, our locals and our travelers, and we serve you, the leadership. And our policy is to be completely transparent. But the easiest way to be transparent is to ask us directly and not, look out for other folks' opinions or, conjecture what's actually going on. So I'd appreciate that if you could drive that narrative too. Just call us, come by, is what we're telling folks. And with that, I'm done. I apologize for the lengthy brief, but I stand for any questions.
The low lead, I'm assuming, is for prop planes.
That's correct. Well, 100 low lead is for piston.
If somebody showed up and didn't have that much fuel left, or what would they do?
Well, since we advise now,
So they should know in advance.
they should know in advance.
Okay.
From NOTAMs to the websites that talk about our airport, it shows it available.
Okay.
And of course, we have a lot of people that do call before they come in, and we just route them to either Raton or whatever local airport towers. I will be honest with you, and I know I'm on record right here, but our field vendor literally told me 2 weeks ago, don't buy gas. He says, don't. This is way too expensive. He said, wait, because the other folks are buying gas right now, because they let their tanks get, they run out. And you guys are gonna be in good shape when the fuel finally drops. And you'll be the ones who have a little better prices. So I talked to Manager Weir about that. I thought that was really interesting. The guy who sells fuel is saying, don't buy fuel. Wait till the price drops.
Well, thank you.
Good. Thanks.
That wraps up our director's reports. So move on to new business. Item A, public hearing will now open. The Village of Angel Fire will present the following to the public. Liquor license for Knuckles Brewery Company LLC, small brewer liquor license with on-premise consumption and package sales with patio service. A liquor license for Knuckles Brewing Company LLC, a small brewer liquor license with on-premises consumption and package sales with patio service is now open for public comment. Liquor license for Knuckles Brewery Company LLC, a small brewer liquor license with on-premise consumption and package sales with patio service is now closed for public comment. Next, public hearing is liquor license for Knuckles Brewing Company LLC, limited beer wholesaler liquor license. Liquor license for Knuckles Brewing Company LLC, limited beer wholesaler liquor license is now open for public comment. Liquor license for Knuckles Brewing Company LLC, limited beer wholesaler liquor license is now closed for public comment. Moving on to item B under new business. I'd like to open discussion to approve a liquor license for Knuckles Brewing Company LLC, small brewer liquor license with on-premise consumption and package sales with patio service. Ms. Strickland.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, and Manager Weir. I want to start off by answering the question I'm sure you're thinking, and the answer is yes. This has been brought to you before. This was brought to you in April of 2025. I had the same question, so I did reach out to the New Mexico Regulation and Licensing Department. The reason this is coming back is because of the type of license it is. With Knuckles Brewing, there used to be 2 owners, it's down to 1. So they need to clarify that for the record. This has been publicized in the paper for 30 days. The owner was aware of this hearing. I don't see them here today, but I'll stand for any questions.
No questions? I'll ask Councilor Howe to make a motion.
Make a motion to approve liquor license for Knuckles Brewing Company LLC, small brewer liquor license with on-premises consumption and package sales with patio service.
Second.
Roll call vote on item B. Councillor Howe,
Aye.
Councillor Weeks,
Aye.
and Councillor Curry.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Item C, discussion to approve liquor license for Knuckles Brewing Company LLC, limited beer wholesaler liquor license. Ms. Strickland.
Good evening again. It's the same explanation as the previous item. If you need me to reiterate it, I will. But if not, I'll stand for any questions.
Councilor Howe to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve liquor license for Knuckles Brewing Company LLC, limited beer wholesaler liquor license.
I second.
Roll call vote on item C. Councillor Howe,
Aye.
Councillor Weeks,
Aye.
and Councillor Curry.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Moving on to item D. I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2026-26, permission to apply for the FY 27 RAID grant. Ms. Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, Administrator, Weir, and Clerk Strickland. Before you have a resolution permission to apply for the RAID grant, that's a reduction in illegal dumping and recycling. The solid waste department is going to ask for about $36,000 for new cardboard trailers to add to their fleet. And I'll stand for any questions.
Questions or discussion?
Is this in addition to the new ones we already just got?
Yes, sir.
So are you looking at maybe distribute them other places?
There'll be 4 more trailers, so we'll switch out the old plywood ones and replace them with the new ones, because there's still some of the old plywood ones out there.
Counselor, how to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2026-26, permission to apply for the FY 27 RAID grant.
Second.
Roll call vote on item D. Counselor Howell,
Aye.
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Curry.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Item E, I'd like to open a discussion to approve reimbursement of actual expenses for Lieutenant Jeremy Strickland. Chief Hildreth.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Madam Clerk, Manager. This is a matter of an expense that we incurred during an investigation. It was a phone that captured data and pursuant to a search warrant was taken for extraction. When the phone was picked up, it was working through the data and had to remain plugged in and charged. Lieutenant had to purchase a cable to continue that charge for the travel home from Albuquerque, and then at our office, I would ask that he be reimbursed for that personal expense.
Counselor Howell, could you make a motion?
I make a motion to approve reimbursement of actual expenses for Lieutenant Jeremy Strickland.
I second.
Roll call vote on item E. Counselor Howell,
Aye.
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Curry.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Moving on to item F, I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2026-27, approval of variance to the required side yard setback for the property located within a portion of lot 49 and 50 within the Moreno Valley Third subdivision. Mr. Aguilar.
Mayor Lindsay, Council, Manager Weir, Clerk Strickland. So this variance is for the workforce housing site. Because they're limited in space, some of the trailers are gonna be close to the setback line. So they're having an issue for the outdoor steps that they'll be set into that setback. So we're proposing a 6-foot variance to the 10-foot setback, and that's in order to place steps, vault landings for access under the trailers, the roof awnings, and potential future deck. And with the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation, they ask for your approval. Is there any questions?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-27, approval of a variance to the required side yard setback for property located within a portion of lot 49 and 50 within the Moreno Valley Third subdivision.
Roll call vote on item F. Counselor Howell,
Aye.
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Curry.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Item G, I'd like to open discussion to approve realignment of existing fencing to expand the operational area of recycling park. Mr. Epler.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, Council, Clerk Strickland, Manager Weir. Apologize I didn't have these estimates in your packet as we received a quote from the vendor on Friday after the agenda was closed. What we're proposing to do at the Halo Pines Recycling Park is expand the footprint of the area that we have right now. What we'll be doing on the north boundary is we'll be extending the fence it has a little bit of an angle to it from 16 to 30 feet from where it's existing right now. It will be pretty close, within 8 feet of what we call the long barn at Water Department Yard. And we're also, once we get to the west side of the long barn, we're we're going to head north with the fence, create a niche, if you will. Utilize some unused space right now. Needs to be cleaned up, and then we're going to expand that area with the hopes that that niche could be used for the cardboard recycling trailers. In addition to this work, we want to add another entrance gate in between the current west gate and the corner where the sign is. We hope that this expansion could add up to 3 additional rows, moving from east to west, and more dumpsters along the north boundary also. I haven't quite laid it out and stepped it off yet, but I see the potential that, increase the capacity by about 20%, maybe more. The estimates in front of you, the one that I put on top, with taking out the access in between the recycling yard and the long barn and water department, there is an existing gate that accesses the backyard for the water department. We still want to have a gate there. The water department will have access through the recycling park. The first item here is for an automated gate. I have some reservations about this one. It's pretty expensive, but also I have not yet seen detail or cut sheet on these gates to see how conducive they are to drifts and snow, and what kind of maintenance need that would be. So if we don't decide to go with that option, it'll be the standard 16-foot gate that we have will be relocated to that location. Included in here is the realignment and the additional fencing that's on page 2. And this estimate includes the relocation of the existing 16-foot wide gate. The next estimate after that was for the additional gate that we want to add on the south side off of Halo Pines Road. And the last estimate is to repair, do a bunch of repairs around the whole perimeter that are needed. I noticed just before I walked up here that it also includes another gate. Okay, we're only doing 2 gates. So there will be some additional cost, some electrical work. Obviously, there'll be more electrical work if we do use the automated gate. There will be a little bit of dirt work that will be done in-house. And just some incidentals. And the reason why I felt compelled to put this in front of council is I know there's been discussion for the last couple of years about finding a location for a covered dumpster facility. And we just haven't talked about that in a long time, and doesn't seem to be any quick movement on it. So I want to go ahead and take the opportunity to expand that yard as much as we can. There's quite a bit of space we could better utilize to increase the capacity of the yard.
So is what you're wanting us to read is a total of all of the estimates?
Yes. There will be some additions. I'm sorry I don't have those estimates. We met with the vendor last Thursday, and but the meat of the project is within these estimates here. There'll be some incidentals associated with it.
For now, too, is you're just going to do a gravel around the expansion perimeter of what's the expansion?
Yes. I think we should really consider once the expansion is done to get it entirely paved.
Mayor Council, also want to remind the council that we have a contract with a local electrician. So the electrical work will be performed under that contract. So we won't need to include that in approval process.
The vendor, Tri-West Fence, as you can see, does have statewide price agreements, so all these prices are based on. They have done work for us very recently. They did the fencing project around the Tank 7, and they did an excellent job. I was very impressed with how they got those poles down in that pile of rock that area sits on.
Combined, this is about 70 grand.
Any further questions or discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the realignment of existing fencing to expand the operational area of the recycling park.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item G. Counselor Howell,
Aye.
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Curry.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Item H, I'd like to open for discussion to approve the donation of the Overground Action Sports Park. Manager Weir?
Yes, Mayor, Council. So as you know, we've been working with the OGP and on trying to develop a skate park on Allen Fields. Basically, and they're gonna donate they're gonna donate material and labor to do the, overground park. It's based on a requirement that we provide them a basically 100 by 200 foot.
Brett, hang on a second. Ileana, do you know where that's coming from?
Yes, it's coming from Oliver. I'll mute him.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
That we provide them a slab that's basically 100 by 200 feet. Our very rough estimates of the cost of that slab are gonna be approximately $200,000 to provide that slab. And so what we're asking you to do, as you may be aware, any donation to the village that's in excess of $5,000 has to be approved by council. And so we are asking you to approve the donation as described. And I think in the last meeting, Mr. Bradley did a presentation discussing what was gonna be donated. It's also included in the packet. The idea has been approximately a $200,000 donation to build the park once we determine the location and the exact location. And so we'll have to have some survey work done as well. That will be at our expense. And then we'll have to pay to have the slab added. And then once they do that, they will donate the material and the labor to finish the park out as described in the packet.
Oliver, I got a couple of questions. Can you hear us? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. How long, if we approve this, how quick would we need to have that pad in place for this to be completed? Like, how long will it take you to actually, mock up all of this design before you would need to place this on the slab? 1, 2, 3, 4 months? Maybe
We can try the.
2 months? And could, if we did the parking lot area instead of a slab, would that be doable?
Like asphalt?
Or
I mean,
just gravel?
So gravel instead of slab would work.
Do you wanna try audio? Yes.
Oliver, I'm looking at your example layout and it shows the concrete slab is number one, and then you have 2, 3, 4, 5 that looks like they're not on the concrete slab, is that correct? And 2, 3, 4, 5, is that what you're donating? Okay, so the number one concrete slab is where the skate park would go. And these others are just kind of future items?
Mr. Manager, and the village would own all of this?
Yes, sir. That's why they're donating it to us, so once the work is done, we would have ownership of it. And, we already have ownership of the land.
Right.
Yeah, we would own it. And if you haven't seen Mr. Bradley's previous presentation, the village would also incur an annual fee to operate the park of approximately $15,000, which we would pay out of our Parks and Rec budget.
Where would the $200,000 for the slab, where would that come from?
So it would come out of the Allen Fields budget, which is a great question because right now we're going out to RFP for lights for Allen Fields. We did look at a vendor that was state pricing, but they would have they were requiring more than the money. We have a little over $900,000 in cash in the Allen's Field Fund. And the state pricing would have been 1.2 million for lights. So we will have to look at, when we get back the RFP, we're hoping it'll come back in quite a bit cheaper. But the intent of the $200,000 would be out of the Allen Fields Fund, which is the 2.4% that we pay as part of lodgers, or guest pay as part of lodgers tax. And like I said, it currently has a little over 900,000, approaching $1 million in cash that it has in its coffers right now. The other thing to keep in mind for that is that I believe in the first part of 28, Allen Fields will be paid off. And there'll no longer be any debt service that we're having to pay. That's what the 2.4 was originally designed to pay, debt service on Allen Fields plus maintenance and expansion. It says that in the ordinance that it was approved to charge the 2.4%. So this would be expansion, so it would fall under the ability to pay that. And again, like I said, in a few years, we will have that mortgage will be paid off. And then we'll be coming back to council to actually to continue the 2.4% is my proposal and expand the fields, build additional fields out there like we're in the original plan. With the money, take out another loan, expand the fields and utilize the revenue off that 2.4% to pay debt service on that expansion.
Mayor, Council, Director Tiblish is going to be presenting a task order to you from Dennis Engineering next council meeting. It's gonna be $86,000 in professional services for the RFP and also testing. There'll be a construction oversight RFP, and RFP is technical because it involves electrical. The other thing we have for Allen Fields in in the queue also is the concession stand restrooms that we voted on previously a couple months ago, several months ago. That cost is gonna be about $335,000 just for the three modular, they're precast concrete buildings that get set onto a slab. Not even on a slab, just because it's fully contained. But that's about $335,000. So we have some kind of big ticket items, allocated for Allen Fields, and it would be a priority for you to decide what you want to put in and when. But we are looking at lighting to move forward. It's in the works.
On the bathrooms, is that a match or is that the total?
That's the total from the vendor. It's like $335,000. That doesn't include the hookups for electrical and plumbing. That's the three precast buildings get set right down in there.
And we're out trying to get a grant for that as well.
Oh yeah, I'm working on. Awesome. The Recreation Quality of Life grant, myself and Rocky Lair have both applied for that with different verbiage, trying to get some funding for that. But we will be applying for that grant again to try to secure funding for that. Yes. And that's all I have, sirs. Gentlemen. Okay.
So yeah, it sounds like the $200,000, and you said there's 900, and the last bid came in at 1.2 million for the lighting. Mr. Epler?
If I may, back to the skate park, what are the maintenance and repair needs going to be, and how are they going to be addressed?
They're gonna be covered under the 15,000 per annum.
Okay.
So the maintenance will be done by Oliver Bradley.
So, Mr. Mayor, the other aspect of this is I did have a call with Luis Reyes from Kit Carson Electric this morning. And he has a couple of vendors that they use for large lighting and electrical projects that he's gonna try and bring in on this. And he thinks that if we work through Kit Carson, because of the volume of work that they do for Kit Carson, that he can get us favorable pricing on that work. And it may be something that once we get to this, it is something that we do have a revenue stream. Because what we're collecting in lodgers in the sports and rec fee, which is again part of lodgers tax, is significantly in excess of our debt service. That's why we've been able to accumulate $900,000 in that fund. And we would have revenue source if we wanted to even take out a loan, perhaps to pay for some of these things if we don't get grant money for it. So those are options.
Any other discussion?
I mean, when we did the lights, we approved to get information on installing lights.
For the lights, we approved to proceed with an RFP, so we've issued that RFP. When does it close?
For what, sir?
For the lights?
The lights for the RFP for the lights have not gone out yet. It hasn't been, Shay's gonna present a task order to you for that RFP next council meeting.
Oh, okay.
That RFP has not gone out. The only RFP I have
Next
pending
council
is
meeting.
workforce housing.
Only other question I had was maybe for Greg. Have we seen an increase in the sports facility collections or?
Yes, along with the 5% that we collect for lodging, we've got more compliance on the 2.4% as well. So we're seeing that increase as compliance comes through.
Now that's gonna be something we can renew in 28, the sports and rec fee. So yeah, I just wanna be cautious. I mean, I do appreciate Oliver's generosity, but just wanna make sure that that we're in a position to pay the $200,000 to prep for his donation. Any other discussion?
Did we got like a contract or?
I'm sorry?
Like, what are we voting, like, to actually approve this?
So what you're approving is the donation to the village of, the services and the assets that are related to the work they're gonna be doing, to improve this. So it would be a donation to us. Typically, we don't do contracts for donations, but if, you know, this one's a little more sophisticated than most donations, and if the council, felt that that would be important, you could proceed and say, you know, if you could approve the donation, based on an agreement being approved by the agreement would have to come before you if we're gonna do a contract. The service agreement is only $15,000 a year. I mean, if you want to approve the service agreement, I have the authority to do that. But if you wanted that, we could bring that to council as well. But really what we brought before you today is the approval of the donation. And, to me, the bigger part of that is the commitment to build the slab. Again, which our rough estimate, we haven't actually received a vendor to give us an estimate, but our rough estimate from people who do a lot of concrete work in their business is approximately $200,000.
And I think we would wanna approve a final plan. I mean, we've got good renderings and good description, but there's not a construction set of plans, for this project. So, I mean, I think we could accept the donation and part of that being plans that we approve before construction begins.
Right. So this would be the donation. There's still a lot of steps in this. There is some complicated timing in that. And Oliver, I think you could speak to this more, or Mr. Bradley, I'm sorry. But there are some time constraints on when the donation is available for us. They're not gonna just come do the work whenever we ask them to. They have some time constraints that we're trying to meet. We still have, the exact location has not been defined yet of the park. We still have open the possibility of this, the land for this being an additional piece of land that could be donated by the resort, and I don't have a final answer on that yet. So there is more work to be done, and all those decisions will be brought before the council. But what we're trying to do right now is to say, is the council willing to accept this donation and move forward with a commitment for the 200,000? And hopefully within the next week or so, we'll have a final decision on its exact location. But the work is gonna be the same regardless of which piece of property or where the park is located. The work requirements will be the same.
Okay. Mr. Upshur?
Who will be doing the design for the slab, the engineering work?
We'll have to have an engineer design the slab.
Would that be our on-call engineering service?
Most likely, yes.
Yeah, that was what, I mean, there's, again, without good construction plans, it's hard to, answer some of those questions, but I think in order to keep this moving forward, this would be the first step in doing so, the next step in doing so.
This would be the first step to moving forward to accept the donation.
Okay. Councilor Curry, do you have anything else? Councilor Al?
I make a motion to approve the donation of the Overground Action Sports Park.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item H. Counselor Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Curry.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Finally, this evening, we have our manager's report, Mr. Weir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll keep this, pretty short to the point. We are working feverishly on the budget. Director Rinden is not here with us, but, we do have a. I didn't see him. Jeremy was blocking you. But we are working, the finance team is doing a lot of hard work on the budget. There are gonna be some challenges in the budget. We had a meeting with the direct reports yesterday in which I explained, the upcoming challenges. when we took over this administration, we had a very good cash position for the village. We had a lot of goals that we needed to accomplish with that cash. We are not through with our goals, but the cash is, being worn down significantly. And, we still will have cash next year to continue to work on some of the goals that are not really required for day-to-day operation, but are things that the village needs. But we fully anticipate, the year after that, to be back to normal, operations for the village, which is basically the term I like to use, everybody knows me. We are in a position where we're eating what we kill, which means that we're gonna have to, instead of living off cash, we're gonna have to live off of the revenue that we generate in that year. That is actually a good thing for the village. We've actually missed out on grants and loans, grant opportunities, not loans, but grant opportunities, because we had too much cash in the bank. And the people issuing the grant said, you don't need our money, you got cash, so we won't give you the grant. And that is the way, government operates, good or bad, right or wrong. We have our 1/12 that we're required to keep in cash reserves, which we have separated out totally and into a totally separate fund, and we'll always have that money, and we won't touch that money without permission from the state. But, you know, if, when operating in a low cash position is how the government wants you to operate, they don't want you sitting on the taxpayers' money and not utilizing it. And so you get punished if you do, and we have been punished, like I said, on a few occasions. So we're working our way gradually down back to the position, that the village basically operated on forever, until, the COVID, hit us. But we are working towards that, and to try and adjust to that this year. There are some things, and we won't see the expenditures like we've seen in the last 2 years in the coming budget. So it's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of tough decisions being made. We're asking our staff to be very smart about their requested expenditures. But I feel confident that we will be able, in mid-May, to present a budget to the council for approval and submission on June 1st. That's gonna be able to achieve our primary goals that we have and continue our operation. One of the things that we are both blessed with and challenged with is the fact that we are at full employment. When I was here for 4.5 years, the village was never at full employment. The best, maybe 70%. By full employment, I mean all the positions that are needed are basically filled. There might be a short-term turnover, but, for example, in the prior administration in 2022, I wanna say, it might have been 21, we're at 50% employment, which means that half the positions that were available in the village were not filled. And so, again, that's a blessing because we're getting work done. We have staff, we have good staff, and people are working hard. The challenge is that money uses funds. It's a resource drag. And we've done some things for our staff that, like the para contribution, paying 75% of their para. If y'all recall, originally the first year we did that, it cost us between $500,000 and $600,000 to take that step. Well, in this upcoming budget, that's gonna be approaching $1 million a year, that cost of us covering the employees, 75% of the employees' para. So those are benefits that help us. Quite frankly, I don't think we'd be at full employment if we didn't have that. So I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with that move. It is a great move for the village, but there are side effects of some of these moves, and one of them is gonna be a more challenging budget moving forward. So, Director Rendon has done, and his team have just done a great job of whittling it down. We have a meeting on, Friday, that we're thinking might be the final whittle, before, we go back to do presentations to the directors on what their budget's gonna be and start preparing the budget for submission on June first to DFA. So I just wanted y'all to aware that that is coming. Other than that, I think the directors are covering most of the projects. We have a lot going on, the fire station. We're gonna continue work on workforce housing. And, there's a lot going on in the village as there has been for the last 2 years, so it's all good stuff.
Thank you, Manager Weir. That concludes this meeting.
Take education.